Entrepreneurs, business owners, professionals who seek excellence, bringing the business classroom to you. It's the Business Builders Show. Here's Marty Wolff.
We still got a long way to go. Yes, we all got a long way to go.
Welcome to the Business Builders Show with Marty Wolff, the show for entrepreneurs, business owners, and business leaders. I'm Marty Wolff, your host for the Business Builders Show, and along with my executive producer, DC Taylor, we will be your guides on this learning journey. Let me tell you my super objective in being with you today. I want to enthusiastically share stories and information to inspire leaders, that's you, by the way, so you can inspire others. My guest with me today via Skype, like the rest of the world is via Skype, Zoom, or Teams, or whatever, is John Gronski. Hi, John. Welcome to the Business Builders Show.
Hey, Marty. It's great to be with you. Thank you for hosting this.
This is great. Put in a disclaimer. I've known John for a long time. So he's a friend, and he's very connected to my friend, my cousin, I should say, Ed Wolff. So we'll give a shout out to my cousin and your friend, Eddie Wolff. Right, John?
I love Eddie. Yeah, thank you for mentioning Eddie. He's a great guy.
Yeah. So brief intro, because it will all reveal itself as we go through this discussion. John L. Gronski, Major General, United States Army, retired, is CEO and founder of Leader Grove, LLC. John is the author of The Ride of Our Lives, Lessons on Life, Leadership, and Love, and John is a much sought-after speaker and leadership seminar facilitator. So, John, maybe in the past you were on site. I suppose, like the rest of the world, you're doing some of your work virtually. Is that accurate?
That is absolutely accurate. As a matter of fact, I've got two virtual speaking engagements this week. Tomorrow, I'm going to be speaking to a women's soccer team. Again, their season is scheduled to start up. That's a fall sport, but I was actually scheduled to do a face-to-face event with them about 2 weeks ago. But because of everything that's going on with the coronavirus, I'm actually going to be doing a virtual talk to them tomorrow. And then Friday, I think this is really exciting. I'm going to be speaking to about 1,000 high school students from a local high school in the Lebanon, Pennsylvania area. And I'll be doing 4 different presentations over the course of the morning and early afternoon, talking to those students about ways they could succeed, in their life as a student and then in the next phase of their life once they graduate from high school.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad you're doing that. I'm sure you have wonderful lessons to share. At the beginning, I said John L. Gronski, Major General, United States Army, retired. So, John, how long did you serve in the military?
Yeah, I served just over 40 years. I got my commission in 1978, and I just retired this last year, June of 2019.
So, long time. I'm sure there was all kinds of highlights, good and bad, I'm sure. But why don't you kind of give us some highlights, if you will. That's unfair to ask of you, but some things that you served in Europe, you've served literally all over the world. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, like I said, I got my commission in 78. I went on active duty for 4 years, left active duty at Fort Lewis, Washington, and then came back to Pennsylvania. I joined the Pennsylvania National Guard, and then over the last 40 years of my Army career, I spent a combination on active duty and in the Pennsylvania National Guard. Some key and interesting assignments. In the year 2000, I spent a year in the country of Lithuania, a former Soviet republic, and I helped the Lithuanians learn how the United States military operated. And Lithuania is right now just one of our strongest and most loyal NATO allies. And then in 2005, I commanded a brigade in Ramadi, Iraq. That was a one-year deployment there, very violent, very chaotic area in 2005 and 2006. and had the honor of commanding 5,000 soldiers and Marines as we fought against the insurgents there in Iraq. And then after that, had the honor of commanding in the 28th Infantry Division. I was the commanding general of the 28th for just over 3 years. 15,000 National Guardsmen spread across the state of Pennsylvania, and actually also had some units in other neighboring states. And then I finished my career from 2016 to 2019 as one of the deputy commanding generals at U.S.Army Europe. So I was headquartered in Wiesbaden, Germany, had the opportunity to visit at least 40 countries while I was over there in my role as one of the deputy commanding generals, visiting our soldiers as they were training over there, visiting soldiers from our NATO allies, and then also engaging some of the military leaders and government leaders from the countries that we work with over in Europe. So it was a fantastic career. Our soldiers are something that our American people obviously are proud of, and they should be, because we just have such great men and women serving in our military. We could be very proud of them.
So you have tremendous lessons that you've learned over there that you're now transitioning, and you now have your own company, a consulting and training company called leadergrove.com. Is that correct? leadergrove.com?
That's exactly right, yes.
So people can go there and learn more about you there. We'll refer to that as we speak, but I'm really interested in hearing when you returned home in 2019, right? You returned home.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, one of the first things you did was write a book called The Ride of Our Lives, Lessons on Life, Leadership, and Love by John Gronski. And on the cover, I have the book. It looks like that's some time ago, John. You got a beard and you got your wife, and I think in the back there's a little wagon behind you. So you got to tell me about this. What? As soon as you come home, you write this book. Tell me about it.
Yeah, you know, Marty, after serving over 40 years in the Army, the book I decided to write is a book about a cross-country bicycle trip I took back in 1983 with my wife, Bertie, and our 15-month-old son, Stephen. Now, anybody who bikes, across the United States is seen as a unusual person, but cycling across the country with a 15-month-old child is even more unique. So it was, as the subtitle implies, we learned many lessons about life, leadership, and love. You could imagine, a young married couple. We were only married, around 3 years at that point in time. And we figured on a trip like that, where you're spending 3 months on the road, cycling over 4,000 miles, a 2-man backpacking tent, 2 sleeping bags, and a 15-month-old baby to take care of. You're either going to end the marriage when you end the trip, or else, Bertie and I, thankfully, we've been married for 39 years now.
Folks, I highly recommend the book, The Ride of Our Lives, Lessons on Life, Leadership, and Love by John Gronski. You can find that at Amazon, and I believe in Barnes & Noble, just about any place that I guess everything is online now. So, certainly look that up, The Ride of Our Lives, John Gronski. So, John, here it is, April 2020. And as we all know, the world has been disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So I'm listening to your career and the length of service. I'm sure during that career in the military, you often had to face adversity. So here we are in the middle of this pandemic. Talk to me about some lessons that you learned that maybe we can apply today in our world. So give me some thoughts, give me some ideas.
Yeah, that's a great question. And we all know, there are a lot of people suffering in this difficult time, health-wise, financially, emotionally. There's a lot to be anxious about, and that's normal. First of all, being anxious in a situation like this is a perfectly normal response to what we're dealing with here. But I found that when you're in a difficult situation, you really have to go on the offensive. When you face a setback, you got 2 options. You could either lie down and kind of, lie down in defeat, or else you could move forward in an offensive manner. And I learned, even being over in Iraq in that very tough situation, you need to find ways to take control of your situation. You can't let the situation take control over you. You also, have to have the courage to make decisions with less than, 100% of the information, or the courage to make decisions with less than, perfect information. Colin Powell, famously said that, you've got to be prepared to make decisions with between 40% and 70% of information available. So you've got to get comfortable with that in these uncomfortable times.
Yeah, I could see where some of us could get stuck overanalyzing everything instead of, focus on what you can do something about. That's a simple way to say that. But yes, it takes courage. Yes, you might have to get up. But what a great time to learn and to go to leadergrove.com and learn more about John. And if you're an organization, get a boost to your organization and have him join you virtually. Here's the thing that's been on my mind. I want feedback from you. How important is it, John, that we look beyond the headlines, where we're seeing today? We're inundated with political folks, healthcare folks, and I guess you were saying that a minute or two ago. But how important is can we look past the headlines that we're experiencing today?
Well, I think what we need to do is, as leaders, whether we lead our family or whether we lead a business or whatever organization we lead, we need to be able, I like to say, look beyond the headlights. That's what people expect of a leader. We have to, look into the future as best we could. Mm-hmm. I think if you listen to any expert today, they tell you we're not going to be going back to 2019 when this pandemic is over. Things are going to change. The world's going to change. The way we do business is going to change. So you've got to be able to use your creativity, use your imagination, and determine how things might change, and then start setting conditions now so you could be, part of the change, so you could drive change. And that's exactly what leaders are supposed to do. Leaders are supposed to drive change. One other thing I just want to say, Marty, if I may,
sure.
is really important as we are coming, and I'm not saying we're near the end of this because I don't know, I'm not a medical professional, but we are going to come to the end of this at some point, and we're already, there's already talk about opening up our economy, which I very much hope happens soon. But we've got to be prepared to conduct what we used to call in the Army an after-action review. And that's really, taking a look at, hey, what did we do well? What do we need to improve upon? And what lessons did we learn? And I'm talking about this in terms of whatever organization we lead. We need to do that at our organizational level because all organizations have been learning lessons from this pandemic. And then the tricky part is once you identify what those lessons are, apply those lessons as you move forward. And that's the tricky part.
So you describe it as a look beyond the headlights?
Yes.
So I like that. So the headlights can be blinding sometimes, but you've got to look beyond that, see what's beyond all that. I like that. I got that in my brain as soon as you said that. I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a proverb that we're both fond of, and I want you to kind of go a little deeper on this. So it's an African proverb that I know we're both very fond of. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Does that really apply to today also?
Yes, absolutely. I think we've got to look at our team, and our team could mean various different things. It could be our trusted advisors that we have in our life. It could be our leadership team at the organizations that we lead, and talk to some thought leaders, talk to some people you respect, and see what they're thinking, and then just take all of this information in. The other proverb that I like is Proverbs 27:17, and that basically says, as iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. And that also speaks of doing things together, how we gain strength from other people around us and how other people gain strength from us. So I absolutely think this is the time when we all have to work together and move forward as a team for sure.
John, I listened to another podcast that you did, and the discussion was around transitioning from the military to civilian life. And one of the things you said was, when I was in the military, you certainly had initiative, but your team was around you. You had wise counsel surrounding you in the military. When you left that and went into the quote-unquote civilian life, you had to kind of network and create your own team. Am I saying that accurately?
Yeah, that's exactly right. For somebody like me who transitioned out of the military, and I didn't go and seek a job with a large company where I would, again, have that ready-made team around me, work developing my own leadership consulting firm. I had to go out and find people who I could consider to be part of my group of trusted advisors. I like to use that term, trusted advisors. So, I could kind of pick their brain, get them to give me some feedback, get some counsel from them, and be mentored from them. Because that's the thing about mentorship. A lot of people think of mentorship and it's kind of like an older person or a more experienced person mentoring somebody less experienced. But I think mentorship is 360 degrees. I think no matter how much experience you have, you could gain mentorship from somebody much less experienced than you are or younger than you are, because there's everybody on that team knows something a little bit different. Everybody's had a little bit different experience that you could learn from and you could grow from. So yes, developing that network, especially when you're starting your own company, is extremely important.
Yes, very much so. So if we go to leadergrove.com, which is John's website, you're going to see when you go there, it says, we grow leaders. We believe leaders are grown, not built. Go a little deeper on that for me, John. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. We talked about me being in the military for over 40 years, commanding at the 2-star level where I was in charge of 15,000 soldiers. But I still view myself as a student of leadership. I still want to become a better leader. And I believe nobody, no matter what leadership position you're in, what leadership experience you've had, has reached the top level of whatever you could learn in terms of developing to be a leader. So I think, and the reason the company is called Leader Grove is you could kind of use as an analogy a grove of trees. And that grove of trees either grows or else they die. And then that's how I think we should look at life in terms of learning. We should continue to learn as much as we could until that final day comes for us. And I think anybody who stops learning ahead of time, whether they're still breathing and they still have brain function or not, I think essentially you're dead if you've decided to stop learning.
Wow, I love that. So I am speaking with John L. Gronski, Gronski, John Gronski. His site is leadergrove.com. John, we need to wrap up, but I want to give the last minute or two or whatever to you. What haven't I asked you or something that you'd like to share with our business audience to kind of wrap up the discussion?
Yeah, and again, as you said, Marty, it's April 2020. We're right in the middle of this coronavirus crisis. There are a lot of people struggling out there, and I think it's essential that we think about one of the important aspects of being a leader and that's overcoming adversity. Whatever organization we lead, at some point in time, we're going to face adversity. Certainly, right now, we're facing adversity. And 3 quick points. When I talk about being resilient, one of the elements of being resilient is having that positive energy. Being an optimist. Believing that there's hope. The second part is being fit, and I'm talking about physically fit, but also spiritual fitness, emotional fitness, mental fitness, and that makes us a more rounded person. And then the last part of resiliency is that overcoming adversity. And that's the ability to, not let setbacks get you down, but, fight through challenges, fight through obstacles, find a way to keep moving forward no matter what the challenge is. And I think that's just a great thought for everybody while we're in the midst of this challenge called COVID-19. So I think that would be an important message for people to think on.
So if your organization needs a boost, you want to go to leadergrove.com. Connect with John. There's all kinds of information there. Connect with him there. You can find him on LinkedIn also. And I want to also remind you folks to get the book. It's terrific. The Ride of Our Lives, Lessons on Life, Leadership, and Love by John Gronski. So, John, thank you so much for being part of the Business Builders Show.
Thank you, Marty.
Bringing the business classroom to you. It's the Business Builders Show with Marty Wolff.